There's a kind of quiet that doesn't come from peace. It comes from being tired. The kind of tired a full night's sleep doesn't fix. Somewhere in the last few years, a lot of men went quiet. They stopped posting, stopped chasing, stopped explaining themselves. And the world decided that meant they'd given up. But that's not what happened. What you're watching isn't surrender. It's a man who finally stopped performing for a game he never agreed to play. This is the quiet man era. And if you've felt it, this video is going to put words to something you haven't been able to name. Let's be clear about what this is and what it isn't. The quiet man isn't the bitter man. He isn't sitting in the dark blaming anyone. He's not plotting revenge on a world that overlooked him. He's just done auditioning, done sending the third text that never gets answered, done turning himself into whatever the moment seemed to want, done measuring his worth by who responds and who doesn't. Psychologists have a name for part of this. It's called withdrawal, and it usually shows up after a long stretch of effort that didn't pay off. It's not the same as depression, though they can look alike from the outside. Withdrawal is a nervous system pulling back to conserve itself. It's protective. It's the mind saying, that approach cost more than it returned, so we're going to stop. The mistake the internet makes is treating that pullback as the end of a man. It isn't the end. It's a checkpoint. Here's what's strange. This isn't one man in one city. It's happening everywhere at the same time. So the real question isn't what's wrong with him. It's what changed? Three things mostly. First, the effort stopped matching the reward. Dating turned into an interface. A thumb, a photo, a half-second judgment. A man can pour real attention into something that was designed to be disposable and feel the difference in his chest long before he can explain it. Second, the rules kept changing, and nobody handed out the new ones. Be confident, but not too much. Lead, but wait to be chosen. Open up, but stay strong. Try following instructions that contradict each other for a few years and see how loud you stay. And third, somewhere along the way, a lot of men noticed that doing more wasn't working. So they did the only logical thing a tired person does. They stopped. Not forever. Just long enough to breathe. But I'd be lying to you if I said the quiet is always safe. Because there are two versions of it, and from the outside, they look identical. One is solitude. Solitude is chosen. It's a man stepping back to rebuild. Training, reading, working, getting his mind quiet enough to hear himself think. Solitude has a direction. It's going somewhere. The other is isolation. Isolation wears the same clothes, sits in the same room, but it's not building anything. It's just hiding. The phone replaces people. The days blur. The withdrawal that was supposed to be a checkpoint quietly becomes a permanent address. Here's the test, and it's simple. Solitude makes you feel more like yourself. Isolation makes you disappear from yourself. One refills you. The other slowly empties you while convincing you you're fine. If you're in the quiet right now, you already know which one you're in. And knowing is the whole point. Because you can't correct a direction you won't admit you're facing. 2,000 years ago, men were asking the same question you're asking now. What do I control when so much of life refuses to be controlled? The Stoics gave an answer that still holds. You don't control who responds to you. You don't control whether you're chosen, noticed, or understood. You control what you do with your time, your body, your attention, and your word. That's it. That's the whole list. And it turns out that's enough. Notice what that does to the quiet. The quiet stops being a place you hide from rejection. It becomes a place you go to get strong. Same silence, completely different purpose. The tired man pulls back and waits for the world to change. The Stoic man pulls back and changes himself while he waits. He uses the season nobody's clapping for to become someone he actually respects. And respect, real, earned, internal respect, is the one thing no app, no message, and no person can hand to you or take away. This is the difference between going quiet to escape your life and going quiet to rebuild it. Here's the part that doesn't trend. The rebuild is boring. It's quiet on purpose. There's no audience for it, and that's exactly why it works. Nobody claps when you go to bed early. Nobody films you choosing the gym over the screen. No one notices the day you stopped checking if she read it. These are invisible wins. And invisible wins are the only kind that actually change a man. Because here's what happens underneath. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, a small amount of self-trust comes back. And self-trust is the root system of everything you've been told to fake. Confidence, presence, that calm that makes people lean in. You can't perform those. They grow. And they grow in silence. So while the world thinks the quiet man fell off, he's actually doing the one thing that compounds. He's becoming someone who doesn't need the validation he used to chase. And a man who doesn't need it is the exact man who finally tends to get it. But I want to say this plainly, because too many men get it wrong. The quiet is not the destination. It's the tunnel, not the home. There's a trap on this side, too. A man rebuilds, gets strong on his own, tastes that peace, and decides he never wants to risk anything again. He calls his fear of connection independence. He calls his walls standards, and he stays in the tunnel because it's safer than the light at the end of it. Don't do that. You didn't go quiet to become an island. You went quiet to come back as someone steadier than you left. The whole point of getting strong alone is so that connection becomes a choice instead of a need. Those are very different men. The one who needs people and the one who chooses them. Only one of them is free. So you return, not louder, not performing. You walk back into the world with less to prove and more to offer. And people feel that before you say a single word. So if you're the man in the quiet right now, let me talk to you directly for a second. You're not broken. You're not behind. You didn't fail at some game everyone else figured out. You got tired in a system that was built to tire you out, and your mind did the intelligent thing and pulled you back to safety. That was step one. But don't build a house in the tunnel. Use this season. Train. Read. Keep the small promises. Get your self-respect back one quiet day at a time. And then, when you're ready, not when you're desperate, walk back out. The world doesn't need another loud man performing strength he doesn't feel. It needs the other kind, the steady kind, the kind who went quiet, did the work nobody saw, and came back unbothered. That can be you. It might already be becoming you. The quiet man era isn't about staying silent forever. It's about going quiet long enough to come back as someone you trust. If this put words to something you've been carrying, then you already know what to do next. Not the loud thing. The next quiet, honest thing. Do that one. And if you want more of this, the parts of being a man that nobody explains out loud, stay around. This channel is for the men doing the quiet work. I'll see you in the next one.